welcome back to another GIMP tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to make a cool YouTube background. Unlike the one I showed you before, this one, in my opinion, looks much better. So the template we'll be using is a custom-made one by me, and this is what it looks like. I'll have the PSD download in the description, and GIMP can open PSDs, so you'll get it as layers, which doesn't really matter. I'm not going to be using it as layers. I'm just going to be selecting by color, but it's not going to matter either way. So open up GIMP, go to File, Open as Layers. Then go to your template. Let's see. And here we are. And this is the template. I'm just going to create a new file just because I don't want to accidentally save it as this. So I'm just going to copy this layer. And there we are. Just delete this background. Okay, now we have the template. Now, what we're first going to want to do is separate each of these into different layers. So I'll be doing this by selecting color. Select the black to start with, create a new layer, fill it with black. Create a new layer, select the gray. I'm just going to get this, select the gray, and now I'm just going to take the exact color so I don't accidentally wrong thing, not that it'll really matter, but that's just me. So now we can delete this layer right here, create a new file for the background, which we'll be using a starburst effect. Now, what we're going to want to do is to get started is make the brushed metal for this gray. So alpha selection, this the gray layer, and if you watched my previous tutorial, we're going to be using the same method for brushed aluminum. If not, then I'll be teaching it right now. For the foreground, you want a light yellow, at least whatever color you want. I'll be using yellow. The HTML notation I'm using is C68A16. And then for the background, you want a darker color of the one you picked previously. For this one, I chose 704C07. Now, take your gradient, and you want foreground to background with the bilinear shape. That just gives you one streak of that lighter color. Now stroke down however you want it to look. I'm just going to keep, that looks pretty good actually, with the glare going right about right there. Okay, now go select none. Now on this layer right here, go to filters, noise, HSV noise, and you want these settings. You want holdness at 3, hue 7, saturation 23, and value 40. Now alpha to selection this yellow layer. I'm sorry, you don't really have to select none, but I just like to. Now go to blur, motion blur, and as I said in my previous tutorial, the length really depends on how big. So now we're just going to change it to 2. And as you can see, it keeps its original shape. See if I move it up to like 10. Right here, you can see it starts to just take some white to blur it, and that will look very unaligned and very unprofessional. So we're just going to keep it at probably a 3. Maybe a 4. Just keep going until, yeah, 3 should be good for this size. Just, it gives it a little bit of a motion blur, and it makes it look pretty metallic. So just go select none, and we can zoom up on this just to get a better view. So that looks pretty good. Zoom out a little bit, you're not going to be seeing it this close. You're going to be seeing it right about this. So it looks pretty metallic right there. Now, on these black inside layers, I'll selection them. And now, for your foreground, you want to take your darker color, which you used before, and just darken it. So, for this, I'll be using, that should be good right about there, 3A2805. Now take your fill tool, I'm just going to zoom out real quick. And there we go. Now take your fill tool and fill in all the black areas. And now go select none. Now that looks pretty good, but we're not finished quite yet. So what you're going to want to do now is take the yellow outline layer, alpha to selection it, create a new layer. We're going to be creating a drop shadow, but not quite. It's going to be going all the way around, not just to one side. Now go to select grow by 4 pixels. Now fill this new layer with black. Now go select none. Click on this layer right here with the black outline. Go to filters, blur, Gaussian blur. Find it, and then just blur by quite a bit. All we're doing is looking to make it just a faint blur. That should be pretty good at around 55. So click OK, and that just gives it a shadow both on the outside and on the inside, which is pretty nice. So now for the background, what we're going to do is make a starburst effect. So go to Filters, Distorts, Blinds. Now this is your own discretion. You can choose as many, how thick. This is just totally customizable. I like about 7, I think it is, number of segments with quite a bit thickness. Probably right around 70. So once you have this, just click OK. Now we go to Filters, Distorts, Polar Coordinates. You want to slide this circle and depth perception all the way to 0, so it's not just a circle, it's the whole entire image. And you want 2 polar clicked. Map from top doesn't really matter in this instance. Offset angle just rotates it. So if you want it differently, I just want it right about there with the blank right in the middle, just so it gives a little bit right here. Okay, you don't want map backwards checked. Make sure that is unchecked. So click OK, and it distorts those bars. There we go. Now alpha selection this, and we're going to fill it with the same dark color that we chose for this inside right here. So just fill in all those, fill in these, oops, that one right there, just in case you get a little bit. Fill in those bottom ones, and there we go. So you can select none. Now create a new layer, move it to the bottom, and fill it with a color that is a little lighter than your old dark color, so right about here. And there we go. Oh yeah, I'm sorry for the HTML notations. For this lighter, the one I just used for the background is 8A5D06, and then that dark one we already have from before. Now on this starburst effect layer, we're going to be using just drop shadow. I'm not going to be doing a custom one for this. So you want about 6 offset with 15 blur radius. Do not allow resizing. Change the opacity to 100 and click OK. There, that just gives it a cool drop shadow on that. It gives a little bit of a 3D perception type thing. Okay, so this is... Oh, no, we're not finished yet. We have to make that the black transparency gradient. Sorry about that. Now, choose a back foreground color. Take your gradient tool. Go foreground to transparent. Now, this is just so... after we do this, you change your YouTube background channel color to black. So it'll blend in pretty nicely with all this. So it won't look like there's a picture, and then if you do repeat, there's another picture, or it just goes straight to color. This just helps it blend. So you want to start the gradient about a few pixels, not a few, away from the edge, and then stroke it right about there, just to get that black. Then duplicate this layer, use the flip tool, flip it to the other side, merge these down, and now you want to do on the bottom. Again, start about right here, and then go up a little bit. There we go. And there we are, we finished. Now if you want to, you can, right here, for this box, you can, oops, that's a little too much. You can add featured, if you want to say your featured video. This is where your video would be, so if you want to put like a little comment or something about your YouTube background, you can put it in there. It won't be seen unless they view the image. You can write videos down here, or uploads, that's where your uploads will be. Right here, you can put your YouTube channel name. It's something that I've seen quite a bit. This is just your profile with your profile picture. And then this is just your profile stats. And this is just whatever else you have. Your comments, your recent activity, whatever else you decide, whatever module you put in here. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on making a pretty cool YouTube background. If you liked it, please comment, rate, subscribe, and favorite. This is a GIMPWiz tutorial. I will see you next time.